Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here with what a deck profile for the Forbidden Prediction Time deck. I'm just going to go through everything in here and then I'll explain how it works. So for monsters, we're playing 3 Zaphion the Time Lord, 3 Medion, 3 Camion, 3 Lazion, 3 Pot of the Forbiddens, 2 Spirit of the Fallwind, 2 Manju of the 10,000 Hands, 3 Time Maiden, and 3 Prediction Princess Tarotrei. For our spells, we're playing 3 Galaxy Cyclone, 3 Pre-Preparations of Rites, 3 Prediction Ritual, and 3 Strike of the Monarchs. Our only trap is 3 Solemn Scolding. Our extra deck consists of 1 each of number 81, Gustav Max, True King VFD, Phantom Fortress Entablathnir, Utopia the Lightning, Utopia, Tornado Dragon, Baguska, Castell, Starliege Paladynamo, Gagaga Samurai, Fairy Cheer Girl, Gagaga Cowboy, Decode Talker, and Akashic Magician. The side deck I'll go over in a little bit. So this deck is a stun deck, and it works by using the 3 parts of its name, which is Pot of the Forbidden, Prediction Princess Tarotrei, and the Time Lords. These 2 I'll go over real quickly because they're probably the most simple. Prediction Princess Tarotrei is just a ritual monster. You ritual summon it with the Prediction Ritual. And it has 2 effects. First, during your end phase, you could special summon 1 flip monster, either from your hand or graveyard, in face-down defense position. And 2, once per turn, during either player's turn, you could target a face-down monster and flip it face-up, or target a face-up monster and flip it face-down. So that second effect, just on its own, makes this card pretty good. It can just flip your opponent's monsters face-down, but it works really well with Pot of the Forbiddens. So for starters, it's level 9, which is the same level as Tarotrei, so you can use it as the entire tribute when you ritual summon, and then Tarotrei can summon a flip monster from the graveyard during the end phase, and this is a flip monster. It has 3,000 defense, 2,000 attack, and its flip effect is that you can activate one of these 4 effects, which are all based off cards that were at one time forbidden. Either draw 2 cards, like Pot of Greed, return all spell traps on the field to the hand, like Heavy Trunade, destroy all monsters your opponent controls, like Raigeki, or look at your opponent's hand and shuffle 1 card from their hand into the deck, which I believe is Forceful Century. Either way, these are all really good effects, and being able to use them once during your turn and then once again during your opponent's turn is a really powerful effect. So these 2 on their own are just a pretty potent combo, and then we've got a couple things to search them. Spirit of the Tailwind can search any flip monster, so it adds your Pot of Forbiddens. Manju can search any ritual monster or the ritual spell. The ritual spell itself you can banish from the graveyard to add another Tarotrei, and then we're playing Pre-Preparations of Rites, which will let you get both your ritual and the spell. And then to add to that stun, to make it a little bit more effective, and to sort of help you stall until you can get those, we're playing the Time Lord suite. If you're unfamiliar with the Time Lords, they all have a couple things in common. They're all level 10, which means you can use them again as the entire tribute for Tarotrei. They all have 0 attack, 0 defense, cannot be special summoned from the deck. If you control no monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing. It can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, and you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. Then in addition to all that, all of these have an effect that activates at the end of the battle phase after you've attacked with them. So they make kind of an interesting toolbox where you can normal summon these if you control no monsters, attack into your opponent, you take no damage, and then you get some kind of effect. Zaphion shuffles all spell traps your opponent controls back into the deck. Medion will send all monsters on the field back to their owner's hands and inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each. Camion shuffles 1 card your opponent controls back into the deck, either a monster or a spell trap, inflicts 500 damage to them. And more importantly, neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. So they can't solemn strike this, they can't use anything that would negate this. And Lazion, when it attacks, will shuffle every card in your opponent's graveyard back into the deck, which can be really brutal against things like Infernoids, Lightsworn zombies, things that really need a lot of graveyard setup. In addition, these 2 have an additional effect. Zaphion, if it's on the field and it's sent to the graveyard, you can draw 1 card, which makes it an optimal tribute for Prediction Princess. And Lazion inflicts the most damage out of all the Time Lords. It's once per turn, when your opponent draws a card, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. That's really the big weakness of the Time Lords, is they don't really have any way to inflict damage. They're all just sort of about stalling your opponent, and they take up your normal summon, which makes them kind of difficult to splash into things, especially since you can't control a monster. But they work really well with this ritual deck, because what you can do is normal summon a Time Lord, and then ritual summon your Prediction Princess. So you have something that can stun out your opponent's monsters, while allowing you to attack for 2,700, and then do additional stun, either just by flipping their monsters face down, or using Pot of Forbiddens if you have it. In addition, if you can get one of the more useful ones like Camion or Zaphion on the field, then you can actually use Tarotrei to flip it face down during your standby phase so it won't go back into the deck. I think I forgot to mention that. That's really important, actually. As powerful as the Time Lords are, they also all have the effect that once per turn during your standby phase, you have to shuffle this card back into your deck. So you can't really make like a rank 10 deck out of them. You can't keep them on the field and just have them be this invincible wall. But if you flip it face down with Tarotrei, their effect won't activate. You can flip them face up and just keep shuffling cards into the deck. And that's really the crux of this. If you can get Tarotrei, Pot of the Forbiddens, and like Camion or Zaphion out on the field, you're pretty set. Your opponent's going to have a really difficult time getting over what you're doing, especially if you have something to back it up like Solemn Scolding. This is our only trap. If it's the only set card in your spell trap zone when a monster would be summoned, or a spell trap or monster effect is activated, you could pay 3,000 life points to negate it and destroy that card. So this negates everything, but it has to be your only set card, which works out perfectly because we don't have any other set cards. So this is good defense for once you've got everything set up. Just in general, this can be a really powerful card, especially when they're already having difficulty getting over these. You really have to like send it back to the hand or spin it back to the deck. And this can be a good thing to negate whatever would get rid of these. Originally, though, I actually played Evenly Match instead of Solemn Scolding, and I'd actually probably recommend it. At the end of the battle phase, if your opponent controls more cards than you do, you can make your opponent banish cards from their field face down until they control the same number of cards that you do. And if you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. So this is already a deck that wants to go second. It's a deck where oftentimes the only monster you have out on the field will shuffle itself into the deck, so you'll have no cards on the field, or you'll just have the one card. It's already a great card just in general, but combined with a deck that doesn't really have much field presence, it can be absolutely busted. The only reason I'm not playing it is because when I originally played it, it was pretty much any time I opened with it, I won, entirely because of this. My opponent would usually just surrender. And when I was playing the deck, I wanted to show off what these can do. I didn't want to show off just how great Evenly Matched was. So I replaced it with Solemn Scolding, which is an equally interesting tech that can help defend your stuff. But if you wanted to play this more seriously, if you wanted to try to do it to the best of its obviously limited abilities, definitely try Evenly Matched in there because it is busted. Likewise, instead of Medion, I was originally playing the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode. Medion can be really good because he's non-targeting, send all the monsters on the field back to the hand. The only problem is it works with your monsters too. So if you have this and Tarotrei out, you can't attack with this because it's going to send your Tarotrei back to your hand. I originally moved it out with Ra Sphere Mode, which allows you to tribute 3 of your opponent's monsters to summon this to their side of the field. It can't be destroyed by battle, and your opponent cannot target it with card effects, but after the end of their turn, it comes back to your side of the field. So if they don't use it for a link summon or get rid of it in some way, then you have this monster on your side of the field that acts as even more stall, and can again be tributed again to use for Tarotrei's summon. The only problem with it is that it's currently bugged on YGOPro. If you summon it, it just summons to your opponent's side of the field. It doesn't tribute their monsters, so I couldn't play it. But again, if you're playing this in real life, or if you're playing this a couple weeks down the road where this has been fixed, replace the Medions with Sphere Modes, replace the Solemn Scolding with Struggling Battle, and it makes this deck much, much more powerful. As for the rest of the deck, we're just playing Galaxy Cyclone as our spell trap removal. I just wanted to switch things up. You could just as easily run Heavy Storm Duster, even Twin Twister. We're also running the Time Maiden, which is the only Time Lord support card. If you control no monsters, you could special summon this card from your hand. It can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a Time Lord, and you could tribute this card to add 1 Time Lord with 0 attack from your deck to your hand. You can also banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a Time Lord with 0 attack from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, but you can't special summon other monsters during the turn you activate this effect. This is great. It's basically your search card. You special summon it, you tribute it to get whatever Time Lord, then you normal summon that Time Lord. If you've already got Tarotrei out where you can't normal summon these, you can always just set this and try to protect it for next turn, and then you can tribute summon the Time Lord because this counts as 2 tributes. If it's in your graveyard, you can banish it to special summon one, so if you don't have a Time Lord to summon, that can be a good way to help you stall, or if you just want to use 2 of them in one turn, it's the only way to get both of them out. Just keep in mind you can't special summon the turn you use that, so you can't get out 2 Time Lords and then like Ixie summon, nor can you do 2 Time Lords and then Tarotrei. In fact, the only reason we play these rank 10s is just on the very off chance that you flip down a Time Lord, and then you also can set this and normal summon one, but you haven't won yet. It's just good to have options, because this deck doesn't often get two monsters of the same kind out. The only card left in the main deck is Strike of the Monarchs. This is you contribute one face-up, level 5 or higher, normal summoned or set monster, target one face-up card on the field, negate its effects, and then draw one card. It has a graveyard effect where you can change the attribute of the monsters on the field, but that's not really important. Mainly, we're just using it as draw power. It's a quick play effect, which means during your draw phase, if you have this in your hand, even if you just happen to draw it, you can tribute your Time Lords before they get shuffled into the deck, and then draw a card, while also negating a face-up card your opponent controls. You can also just use it as a tech to negate their stuff, and of course if you use it on Zaphion while it's on the field, you'll draw 2 cards, because Zaphion draws you a card when it's sent from the field to the graveyard. Everything else, not really all that important. The extra deck is just a combinations. We're playing 10s in case you get 2 Time Lords. We're playing a couple 9s because Pot of the Forbiddens and Prediction Princess are both 9. We just got a bunch of rank 4s for if you get your 2 Manjus or 2 Spirits of the Tailwinds, which sometimes happens when you've got things to a slow grind game. And then just a couple links if you want to go into links. You could really play whatever you want in here. Nothing is particularly useful. As for the side deck, other than the things I've already mentioned, Raigeki would probably be really good in here. I tend not to play one-ofs like Raigeki, kind of for the same reason that as evenly matched. Likewise, if you want to mix up the ratios of things, if one of the Time Lords isn't useful, if you really want to get the Tarotrei and the Pot of Forbiddens, you could put in more Manjus or more Spirit of the Fallwinds. Originally, I didn't have the Prediction Princesses. I had Herald of Ultimateness in here, who could discard a Fairy-type monster to negate anything, and these are all Fairy-type monsters. Unfortunately, he's level 12 and they're level 10, so you still gotta get rid of 2 of them to summon him. It didn't really work out quite as well, but it can be a fun thing if you want an even more casual version. Same thing with the Cyber Angels. You can put in a bunch of Cyber Angels, they'll work as the beat sticks you need, but you have to put in so many things to make the Cyber Angel deck work that it's almost just better to just play Cyber Angels. So there you go, there's your deck for this week. Hopefully it's something interesting that you've never seen before. Hopefully you enjoy the full episode, which is linked down in the description if you want to watch me play 10 duels against random opponents. Next week, I'm going to be looking at my Christmas deck for some holiday-themed shenanigans. So until then, good luck, and have fun.